See, power comes from within. It always has and always will. So how are you supposed to acknowledge the full extent and potential of your power if you let others dictate that for you? And when you do encounter said decisions and fate that others have placed there for you deliberately, it will be one of weakness and servitude, submissiveness, not one of strength and fortitude. It's essential to kind of, project this image of yourself and portray it onto the world through your actions and behaviors. Have this mental image of yourself. And you look in the mirror and you say, this is who I want to be. Try to do it every day if you can, or every other day, whenever you can. Just keep in your mind, who is the individual that I ultimately want to be? How do I want to be perceived? And from there, it becomes easier by tenfold to become that individual. And you may say, look, listen, man, I'm young. I'm not sure who I want to be. Not just yet. And to that I say, it's either you become the man you desire to be, or you let others pick for you. The prudent man is aware he needs to cultivate his own reputation, his temperament, and his decisions based off of the man that he desires to be. He is aware that it is essential for he himself to dictate the position and role he has in society, rather than let the circumstances of such things fall in the hands of others. As from there, you play a dangerous game. Therefore, I strongly advise each and every one of you to dictate the individual that you want to be instead of letting others dictate it for you. As many great men and many great leaders and great people have done so throughout history. Not doing so puts you in an extremely dangerous position, as placing and entrusting your position and character into the hands of others puts you more in a position of weakness as opposed to strength. That's why it's extremely dangerous, especially in a power game, to let others dictate who and what you are, instead of letting you yourself dictate who and what you are. You see, power comes from within. It always has and always will. So how are you supposed to acknowledge the full extent and potential of your power if you let others dictate that for you? And when you do encounter said decisions and fate that others have placed there for you deliberately, it will be one of weakness and servitude, submissiveness, not one of strength and fortitude. This is because us humans, we're naturally inclined to be very competitive creatures by nature. And we always vie for power competitively in an individualistic sense. So many of us are willing and do step in the belly of others who do allow it in order just to get a foot higher. And what I mean by this is that those who are not as competitive as others are almost seen as a liability, as burdensome, to the rest of us. And the more competitive individuals, that are vying for power, social capital, whatever else, they're willing to lie, cheat, steal, manipulate, and undermine others. And if it means attaining power and attaining control, and once again, I emphasize this, that you leave your reputation in the hands of others, you best bet it's not going to be one of dignity and respectability. It's going to be one of weakness and servitude. People are always opportunistically looking to somehow elevate themselves or bolster themselves in a social sense or in a financial sense, whatever else. And if you allow those people, said people, to dictate who you are as an individual, then they will tarnish your reputation down. They would tarnish who you are as an individual. They'll put you down in order to bolster themselves up. Your reputation precedes you in almost all cases. So your virtuosity and your goodwill, it matters little when you are foolish enough to be indecisive on the individual that you aspire to be, and the individual that cannot be gutsy enough or cannot have enough audacity to, say, no, this is who I want to be ultimately. This is the individual and the reputation that I've made for myself and who I strive to be. It all begins with actions and behaviors. That's where it all starts. And you may ask, why does that matter? It matters because from there you're able to cultivate a dignified and desired reputation for yourself. Why does that matter as well? Once again, you may ask. It matters because from there you're able to garner and capitalize on opportunities that you may have not otherwise garnered if you haven't had such a dignified reputation. And then you say, why capitalize on these opportunities? Because the more you capitalize on these opportunities, the closer you are to being the man or the person or the individual that you've always decided to be. And from there, and thus, you not only, become your dream person, but you become the individual that you desire to be, and you dictated that for yourself, as opposed to letting others dictate that for you. And thus, you put yourself in a position of power. So keep that in mind. As I said prior, it begins with action and behaviors that you may portray. It all starts with that. Particularly ones of decisiveness. And it kind of acts as a double in a sense that, people see this and they observe this. And they see the goal, the audacity of you being the person that you want to be through actions and behaviors. And as a result, you attain much more respect and admiration just off of that alone. But even before your actions and behaviors, it's essential to kind of, project this image of yourself and portray it onto the world through your actions and behaviors. Have this mental image of yourself. And you look in the mirror and you say, this is who I want to be. Try to do it every day if you can, or every other day, whenever you can. Just keep in your mind, who is the individual that I ultimately want to be? How do I want to be perceived? And from there, it becomes easier by tenfold to become that individual. And you may say, look, listen, man, I'm young. I'm not sure who I want to be. Not just yet. And to that I say, take a deep introspective look into yourself, a deep one. And there you find what truly drives you, what your desires are, and what you want out of life. And within that, you find your power, you find your strength, you find what you're good at and what you're competent at. And obviously things change. Things always do. And your perceptions change, your worldviews change, and then things may not be as clear as they used to be. And to that, I say go back to your initial desires. Go back to what drives you. Always go back to that same route. And then from there, the coast becomes clearer. The coast becomes clearer, your path becomes clearer, and you're able to, once again, project this mental image of yourself that you desire to be. And thus, actions and behaviors soon follow. From there, your reputation will precede you, hopefully a positive one. And then once again, opportunities will arise as a result of that. And once opportunities arise, you can finally desire or become and dictate the individual that you desire to be. And once again, power will come your way. It's better to be done sooner rather than later. And why this is because once you do let others dictate who you are as an individual and your reputation, it becomes much harder to break out of that and subvert that. it becomes, tenfold difficult. Instead of you, from the jump, knowing who you want to be and just working on that, from your desires, from what drives you, what your passions are. In general, all in all, I round it off with this, is that it's better to be decisive on such things. As if you don't dictate who you are as an individual and your reputation, and you let others decide it for you, then, I'm almost certain that it won't align with your desired reputation and your desired image. If you want it to be one of power, it will be one of servitude. If you want it to be one of strength, then it will be one of weakness. If you want it to be one of fortitude and willpower, it will be one of the weak-willed. So knowledge is wisdom, and let it be a subject of meditation and reflection.